Every year, as summer turns to fall, something magical happens. Leaves change from green to brilliant shades of red, orange, yellow, and, if you're lucky, even purple. But have you ever wondered why this happens? Welcome back to Science Put Simply. In today's video, we'll explore the science behind this colorful transformation and what it tells us about the life cycle of trees. To understand why leaves change color, first, we need to understand why they look green in the first place. That answer lies in a pigment found in leaves called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis, which is the process by which plants convert sunlight into energy. But how does this make plants look green? Well, in order to understand that, we need to talk just a little bit about sunlight and visible light. You see, light is simply a form of energy. It's interesting, though, because it has this dual nature in that it can behave both as a particle and as a wave. And it's that form of light, the wave one, that matters here. In its waveform, light is considered to be a type of electromagnetic radiation, and you can find it on the electromagnetic spectrum. Electromagnetic radiation is a broad term that describes waves of energy that travel through space at the speed of light. Other examples of electromagnetic radiation include radio waves, X-rays, and ultraviolet rays, for example. One type of electromagnetic radiation is visible light, which is basically just all the wavelengths of light that humans are capable of seeing with their naked eye. Different colors have different wavelengths. For example, violet has a shorter wavelength than red. The general way vision works is that some wavelengths of visible light reach our eye, and our brain interprets those wavelengths into different colors. Now, there's a lot more going on there, but if you're interested, then let me know, because that can be a whole other video. But before we get back to the leaves, the other key thing to understand is what exactly is happening to make different things look different colors. You see, objects can reflect, absorb, or transmit different wavelengths of light, simply based on the innate properties of the object. Any visible light that is reflected from an object and not absorbed is then able to hit our eyeball and be interpreted as color. An orange, for example, is able to absorb most wavelengths of light, except for those that fall in the orange range of visible light. So, the orange fruit reflects orange wavelengths, which then hit our eye and get interpreted by our brain as the color orange. Hence, we see the orange, the fruit, as the color orange. Now, let's put that in the context of leaves. Chlorophyll found in plants can absorb many different colors, particularly reds and blues, but it can't absorb green. And plants produce a lot of chlorophyll, particularly in the spring and summer. So, when the plant's producing all of this chlorophyll, it's going to be able to absorb all of those wavelengths of light except for green. It'll reflect those back out, and that's what we'll be able to see with our eye. And this happens a lot during the spring and summer. Plants produce a lot of chlorophyll so they can turn light into energy and grow and do all sorts of other things. But when fall arrives, days become shorter. This change in daylight signals to plants that winter is coming. Trees can't photosynthesize as much in the winter due to the lack of sunlight. It's better for some trees to go dormant before winter gets here. If the trees won't be photosynthesizing, then they don't need their leaves or chlorophyll. So, as the days get shorter and colder, trees begin to produce less and less chlorophyll. Less chlorophyll means that the leaves won't be reflecting as much green light, so leaves don't look green anymore. We've explained why leaves don't look green in the fall. But what makes them brown, orange, red, etc.? Well, a few things. First, it's the fact that there are other things in leaves that are able to reflect other wavelengths of color other than just green. For example, plants produce carotenoids that reflect orange and yellow light, and they actually produce these carotenoids year-round. It's just that in the spring and summer, they are overpowered by the amount of green being reflected from the chlorophyll. Plants produce so much more chlorophyll than carotenoids that the carotenoids don't stand a chance. But without as much chlorophyll being produced, they're now one of the main players. And since they reflect orange and yellow light, our eyes see the leaves as an orange-yellow color. And this is basically the principle that happens with all of the leaves, different colors. It's just some of them aren't there year-round. Instead, they become more prevalent in leaves in the late summer and early fall, just as chlorophyll production is starting to decline. For example, anthocyanins are produced as leaves stockpile sugar in preparation for winter, and anthocyanins reflect red and purple light. As chlorophyll production goes down and anthocyanin production goes up, now those leaves are reflecting more red and purple light and less green light. So you see more red and purple hues in leaves instead of the green you see earlier in the year. Different species of trees produce different amounts of carotenoids and anthocyanin, which is why we see different colors on different trees. Before we leave this topic, we need to talk about one more key compound, tannins. Tannins are responsible for leaf aging, which is also known as senescence. This process ends with leaves falling off trees, a process we refer to as abscission. Over the course of the fall, tannin production increases in trees and becomes very concentrated in leaves. Tannins absorb blue and violet wavelengths of light while reflecting more red, yellow, and green wavelengths. It doesn't really reflect one of these three wavelengths more than another, so instead the reflected wavelengths combine together to create a brownish appearance. As tannin production gets higher and higher, leaves start to look brown right before they start falling off the trees. Now, of course, not all leaves change color in the fall. Evergreen trees, like fir trees for example, don't undergo this process, but that's a topic for another video. So, why do leaves change color in the fall? To put it simply, as the temperature gets colder and the days get shorter, plants stop producing chlorophyll, so they are no longer reflecting as much green light. This change allows other pigments to shine through that reflect other colors. And since the colors we see are actually just reflected light, we no longer see leaves as green, but instead as a range of browns, reds, and oranges. And yes, sometimes purple. Personally, I think this is pretty cool. But what do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one with another bite-sized amount of science.